The boat lurched like a drunk uncle at a wedding, slamming my ribs against the splintered railing as the Atlantic swell hit us broadside. "Clara, Jesus, hold on." Clementine's voice cracked over the roar of the wind, her fingers digging into my arm like she was anchoring her whole damn life to me right there. In that split second, as the sky bled orange and the water churned black below, she pulled me close, not to steady the boat, but to press her lips to mine, fierce and desperate, tasting of salt and unspoken sins that would unravel everything we'd ever known about blood and boundaries. We'd come to Galicia chasing ghosts, or maybe just Dad's half-baked idea of family bonding after Mom's ashes scattered like bad decisions in the wind 2 years back. The Pattersons, me, Clara Patterson, 26 and still figuring out how to adult without a roadmap. My brother Jake, the golden boy engineer who married too young and divorced faster. Aunt Lydia, Mom's sister, with her peroxide hair and perpetual martini glass. And then there was Clementine, Lydia's daughter, my cousin, the straight-arrow prom queen who'd traded small-town Ohio for a marketing gig in Chicago, engaged to some suit named Brad who probably folded his socks. We were Americans abroad, plunked down in this misty corner of Spain where the cliffs clawed at the sky and the sea whispered secrets in Galician that none of us could parse. Dad rented a creaky villa in Fisterra, the end of the world, because he said it felt like Mom's kind of poetic, wild, untamed, a place to heal. Bullshit. It was a pressure cooker with paella and too much Rioja. The drive from Santiago had been a gauntlet of hairpin turns and passive-aggressive barbs. Jake griped about the rental car's clutch. Lydia chain-smoked out the window, muttering about how Europe was all show no soul. Dad white-knuckled the wheel, his face a roadmap of grief lines, while Clementine and I crammed in the back, knees bumping like old times. She smelled like vanilla and that cheap hotel shampoo, her thigh warm against mine in the humid crush. "Remember that summer at the lake?" she'd said, her voice low so the others wouldn't hear. "When we built that fort out of driftwood and swore we'd run away to California?" I nodded, throat tight. We were 13 then, thick as thieves, sharing secrets under starlit skies. Now, she was a ghost in a sundress, her engagement ring glinting like a warning shot. The villa was a stone heap overlooking the Atlantic, all salt-cracked walls and windows that rattled in the wind. We unpacked in a haze of jet lag and forced cheer. Lydia commandeering the kitchen for authentic sangria that tasted like regret. Jake firing up the grill for burgers because who eats fish when you've got ground chuck? Dad wandered the terrace, staring at the horizon like it owed him answers. Clementine and I drew the short straw. The room with the sagging double bed and a view of nothing but fog. "Cozy," she quipped, tossing her duffel on the floor. Her laugh was the same, bright, brittle, the kind that hit cracks. That first night we cracked open a bottle of Albarino on the terrace, the family orbiting like planets in uneasy ellipses. Stories tumbled out. Jake's latest startup flop, Lydia's divorce number 3, Dad's promotion that felt like a consolation prize. Clementine talked about Brad, how he was solid, you know? The kind of guy who remembers anniversaries. Her eyes flicked to mine, quick as a shadow, and I wondered if she saw the flicker in me. The way I'd spent the last year nursing a quiet ache for women who looked like her, soft edges and sharp smiles. I'd come out to the family last Christmas. A halting speech over eggnog that earned hugs from Dad and Jake, a stiff, "I'm proud" from Lydia. "Clementine," she'd squeezed my hand under the table, whispered, "I'm here." And that was enough. Or so I'd thought. By day 3 the cracks were spiderwebbing. Jake bailed on a hike to video call his ex, Lydia picked fights over nothing, why the Wi-Fi sucked, why the locals stared, and Dad retreated into books about Celtic myths, as if fairies could fix a fractured clan. Clementine and I escaped to the village market in Murcia, haggling over figs and fresh sardines under a sky-threatening rain. She linked arms with me like we were kids again, her touch electric, casual cruelty. "God, Clara, this place is magic. Feels like we're in a novel. Lost Americans finding themselves at the edge of the earth." I wanted to tell her about the novel in my head, the one where she wasn't engaged, where her hand lingered on my waist instead of pulling away. But I swallowed it, bought her a silver seashell necklace instead. She clasped it around her neck, fingers brushing my collarbone, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to that point of contact. The fishing trip was Dad's grand gesture. Booked through a grizzled local named Paco who spoke English like it pained him. "Best for family," he'd grunted, slapping down a deposit. We piled into his battered skiff at dawn on the 4th day, the air thick with diesel and brine. Jake begged off with a hangover. Lydia claimed seasickness she'd never had before. So it was just the four of us. Dad, Clementine, me and Paco, who chain-smoked and navigated by gut. The boat cut through swells like a dull knife. Galicia's coast a jagged silhouette of pines and granite. Dad baited hooks with quiet focus, reeling in mackerel that flopped silver at our feet. Clementine perched on a crate, her hair whipping wild, laughing when a spray soaked her shirt. "This is living," she yelled, and I believed her. We'd been out 2 hours when the weather turned. Gray fingers of cloud clawing the horizon, wind picking up like an argument. Paco muttered curses, scanning radar on his ancient phone. Storm coming. We head back. But Dad waved him off. One more cast. For Mom. His voice broke on her name, and something in me shattered too. Clementine caught my eye, her face pale under the salt crust. She slid closer on the bench, our shoulders touching. "You okay?" she murmured. I wasn't. The sea mirrored the churn in my gut, grief, longing, the weight of unspoken what-ifs. Just missing her. I lied. The truth was you, always you, cousin or not, straight or tangled. The swell hit then, a rogue wave that tilted the world sideways. I pitched forward, arms flailing, and Clementine's hand shot out, yanking me back by the collar. We collided in a tangle of limbs, her body pressed to mine against the gunwale, breath mingling hot and fast. Time stuttered. Her eyes, blue as the deepening sky, locked on my mouth. And then she kissed me. Not a peck, not a mistake, but a claiming, her lips parting soft and urgent, tasting of lip balm and the faint tang of fish guts. My hands found her waist, pulling her in, the boat forgotten, the family forgotten, the whole goddamn ocean reduced to this. Her, me, a secret blooming like algae in the dark. We broke apart, gasping as Paco gunned the engine, the storm breaking loose in sheets of rain. Dad stared, hook limp in his hand, face unreadable. Clementine wiped her mouth, eyes wide with what terror? Regret? Clara, she started, but the words drowned in thunder. Back at the dock, soaked and silent, we trudged to the villa like condemned prisoners. Dinner was a minefield. Lydia prattling about celebrities, Jake oblivious on his phone, Dad nursing a scotch without a word. Clementine picked at her plate, avoiding my gaze, her ring winking like an accusation. That night in our shared room, the air hummed with unsaid things. She paced in her tank top and shorts, the seashell necklace glinting. "It was the adrenaline," she whispered finally back to me. "The wave, the fear. Don't make it more." My chest caved. "Clem, that wasn't." "It was nothing," she snapped, whirling. Tears streaked her cheeks. "I'm straight, Clara. Engaged. Happy. This place, it's messing with my head." Lies stacked like storm clouds. I wanted to argue, to trace the tremor in her voice, but I curled into the bed's edge instead, the space between us a chasm wider than the Atlantic. The next morning she was gone before dawn, slipped out to call Brad, laughing too loud on the terrace. I watched from the window, heart a bruised fist. Dad found me there, coffee in hand. "Talk to me, kiddo." His eyes so like Mom saw too much. I spilled it all, the kiss, the confusion, the ache that had simmered since we were teens. He listened, then pulled me into a hug that smelled of pipe tobacco and sea salt. "Family's messy, Clara. But love? That's the mess worth making." Simple words, American as apple pie, but they anchored me. Yet the undercurrent pulled stronger. Lydia cornered Clementine that afternoon by the pool, voices rising like the tide. "You're throwing it all away for what?" "Some phase." Snippets carried on the wind. "Brad, the wedding. Don't embarrass us." Clementine emerged red-eyed, fleeing to the beach alone. I followed, the sand gritty underfoot, waves crashing like accusations. She sat knees to chest, staring at the foam. "She's right," she said when I dropped beside her. "I'm not. I can't be like you." The word hung laced with pity. Like me, like the gay cousin, the outlier. But as the sun dipped, her hand found mine, tentative. "Tell me what it's like," she breathed. "Loving someone who sees you." I talked then, words pouring like rain. The quiet joy of a woman's laugh, the safety in shared silences, the terror of rejection. Her fingers laced with mine, pulse racing. "Brad. He's safe. Predictable. But with you it's like breathing underwater, scary but alive." Vulnerability cracked her open, and in that golden hour we kissed again, slower, deeper, the sea our witness. It couldn't last. Jake burst in that evening, phone in hand, face ashen. Lydia knows. About the boat. The room froze. She'd seen, spied from the villa's binoculars, convinced it was drama for attention. Fury ignited. Lydia stormed in, glass shattering on tile. Disgusting. In front of your father? My daughter. Clementine shrank, whispering, Mom, stop. But Lydia turned on me. You seduced her, didn't you? Poisoning the family like your mother always did. Running off with that artist, leaving us to pick up pieces. Dad exploded then, voice thunder. Enough. Clara's your niece, Lydia. Blood. But the damage rooted deep. Clementine fled to her room, door locked. I pounded once, twice, then slid down the wall, sobs racking. Betrayal wasn't the kiss. It was this, the fracture lines we'd ignored, now quaking the foundation. By midnight, the villa felt like a tomb. Jake mediated awkwardly, pouring whiskeys all around. Lydia sulked in her suite. Dad paced the terrace, chain-smoking for the first time in years. Clementine emerged at last, eyes hollow. I called it off, she said flatly, holding up her bare ring finger. With Brad. Because of us. Hope flickered, fragile. But then, no. Because Mom's right. I can't do this. Not to her, not to the family. Her voice broke. I'm sorry, Clara. It was a mistake. The words landed like hooks in flesh. I reeled back, the room spinning. A mistake? That's what we are. She nodded, tears falling. I thought I felt something real. But it's just grief. This place. We'll go home, it'll fade. Lies all of it. I saw the war in her eyes, the pull toward truth, the shove of fear. She chose the shove. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. We packed in silence, the fishing rods abandoned like broken promises. At the airport in Vigo, hugs were obligatory, brittle as autumn leaves. Lydia air-kissed my cheeks, whispering forgive me, without meaning it. Jake clapped my shoulder. Call me, sis. Dad held longest, murmuring proud of you into my hair. Clementine lingered last, our fingers brushing at baggage claim. Right to me, she asked, voice small. I nodded, throat sealed shut. The flight home was a blur of turbulence and bad movies. Ohio welcomed us with flat fields and fluorescent lights, the Spanish sun a fever dream. Weeks blurred. Therapy sessions where I unpacked the hurt like wet laundry. Jake's divorce finalized with a shrug. Lydia's emails, stiff apologies laced with scripture. Dad called weekly, his voice steadier, planning a solo trip back to Fisterra. For Mom and for us. Clementine. Radio silence at first, then a postcard. A cliffside in Galicia, scrawled thinking of the sea. No signature. I framed it, hung it by my bed. Months later a letter arrived. Pages of looping script, confessing the lie. The love she'd buried under straight-laced expectations. You woke something in me, Clara. But I wasn't brave enough. She'd moved to Seattle, started over, dating a barista named Mia. Tell me you're okay. I was. Not whole but mending. The family dynamics shifted like sandbars after a storm. Lydia softer at holidays, Jake out and proud himself after a late-night confession over beers. Dad and I closer, trading stories of Mom's wild heart. Betrayal's sting faded to scar tissue, tender but strong. Last spring I went back alone. Rented the same villa. Hired Paco for a solo charter. The boat rocked gentle under noon sun, lines trailing lazy. A mackerel struck, silver flash in the blue. As I reeled it in, laughing into the wind, my phone buzzed. A text from Clementine. Miss the sea. Miss you. Coffee in Chicago. I smiled, hit reply. Only if you promise no waves. Hooks and flesh, but this time I chose the release. The coffee shop in Chicago smelled like roasted beans and fresh starts. A far cry from the brine-soaked chaos of Galicia. It was 6 months post-fishing trip, and Clementine's text had hung in my inbox like a dare. I showed up anyway, heart thumping a rhythm I'd almost forgotten. Equal parts dread and that stupid, stubborn hope. She was at a corner table, sunlight slanting through the blinds onto her face, older somehow in the lines around her eyes, the auburn streaks she'd added to her hair. 27 now, but carrying the weight of choices like an extra decade. Clara, she said, standing, arms awkward in the space between hug and handshake. We settled for the latter, her palm cool against mine. Over lattes, hers with oat milk, mine black as my mood, we danced the small talk tango. Seattle suited her, she said. Mia was intense in a good way, teaching her pottery and how to trust her gut. Work was steady, marketing for a nonprofit now, something about ocean conservation that felt like a nod to our watery sins. I nodded along, stirring sugar I didn't need, updating her on Ohio banalities. Dad's retirement garden exploding with tomatoes, Jake's new boyfriend a tattooed mechanic who fixed the family station wagon for free, Lydia's book club devolving into wine-fueled gossip sessions. She's mellowed, I added. Even asked about you last Easter, said to tell you the door's open. Clementine's laugh was sharp, like glass underfoot. Yeah, right. After she nearly disowned me for confusing influences. She air-quoted, but her eyes softened. How about you? Dating anyone? Some fierce feminist type sweeping you off your feet. The question landed casual, but I caught the undercurrent the probe for territory claimed. I shrugged. A few sparks. Nothing sticks. Guess I'm picky. Truth was, no one measured up to the ghost of her lips on that boat. The way she tasted like possibility before the recoil. We walked the lakefront after, wind off Michigan whipping our scarves, the city skyline a jagged promise. She looped her arm through mine, old habit dying hard. I owe you an apology, she said finally, stopping by a bench overlooking the water. For the letter. For everything. I was scared shitless. Mom's voice in my head, the family fracturing, Brad's texts piling up like indictments. Her breath hitched. But mostly I was scared of me. Of wanting you. The admission hung raw as an open wound. I searched her face, those blue eyes stormy now, freckles faint under city pallor. And now? I whispered. She looked away, toward the buoys bobbing like unanswered questions. Now? Mia's real. Solid. But you're the what if that haunts me. We sat then, shoulders brushing, the silence companionable for the first time in months. She told me about the dreams, waves crashing, your hand in mine, waking up gasping. I confessed the postcards I'd collected, the therapy breakthroughs where I forgave her, forgave us. It changed everything, I said. Not just the family, the way I see love. It's not straight lines or tidy bows. It's messy like the sea. We parted with a real hug this time. Her chin on my shoulder. Vanilla scent wrapping me like fog. Visit Seattle, she murmured. Bring Dad's tomatoes. I laughed, promised I would. Back on the train to Ohio, scrolling her contact photo. A selfie from Galicia, wind-tousled and grinning. I felt the hook loosen just a fraction. But family doesn't mend overnight. Thanksgiving loomed like a family reunion grenade, the Pattersons converging on Dad's ranch house outside Cleveland. Jake arrived first, arms loaded with craft beers, and his boyfriend, Marco, who had a beard like a lumberjack and a smile that disarmed. Clara, heard you braved the Windy City, spill. Over pumpkin pie prep I did, the words tumbling easy now. Marco listened with that quiet intensity, squeezing Jake's hand under the table. Sounds like growth, he said. Painful, but the good kind. Lydia swept in mid-afternoon. Her hair a softer blonde, bundled in a cashmere sweater that screamed midlife pivot. No martini this time. Just a bottle of Pinot Noir and a tentative smile. Clara, honey. The hug was stiff but real. Later, in the kitchen, away from the football roar on TV, she cornered me by the sink. I was wrong. About Spain. About you. Her voice wobbled. Grief makes monsters of us. Your mom. She'd have kicked my ass for that. Tears welled, surprising us both. I pulled her into a dishwater-scented embrace, the first crack in her armor. We're good, Aunt LYD. Water under the bridge. Or waves over the boat. Dad watched from the doorway, eyes misty. That's my girls. Dinner was a revelation. Toasts to Mom, stories of her laugh echoing through the dining room. Marco's empanadas stealing the show. Lydia even asked about Clementine, gently, no barbs. Tell her I miss her cooking disasters. I texted Clem a photo of the table, captioned truce. Her reply, heart emoji, then love this. Love you all. Winter thawed into a tentative spring. The kind where crocuses push through snow like stubborn hopes. I drove to Chicago again, this time for a weekend. Art galleries, deep dish pizza. Nights tangled in her guest bed platonically. Boundaries blurred but held. Mia joined us for brunch. A pixie-cut force with tattoos of waves curling up her arms. She sized me up over mimosas, then grinned. Clem talks about you non-stop. The cousin who rocked her world. Clementine blushed, swatting her. Stop. But there was no heat, just the easy rhythm of three women navigating shared history. It was during that visit, wandering Millennium Park under cherry blossoms, that the past resurfaced. A street performer strummed a guitar, crooning a cover of Wagon Wheel, the song from our lake summers pre-Spain pre-kiss. Clementine froze, hand in mine. Dance with me. Impromptu, silly, we swayed amid tourists, her head on my shoulder, Mia clapping from the sidelines. This, she whispered. This is what I ran from. The joy in the mess. My heart stuttered. And now, echoing our lakeside talk. She pulled back, eyes clear. Now I'm not running, but I'm with her. We're building something. A pause heavy. Unless? The unless dangled a hook I could grab. Instead I stepped back, smiled. Build it fierce. She deserves that. We hugged, long and aching, and I left with my what if intact but lighter. Back home the changes rippled. Jake and Marco moved in together, a fixer-upper in Akron with a yard for Dad's tomato starts. Lydia started dating. A professor with a dry wit and a tolerance for her stories. Dad? He found solace in a widows group, even took up fly fishing on the Cuyahoga sandstorms. Me? I swiped right on a barista named Elena. Dark curls laugh like thunder. Our first date a picnic by the lake, echoes of forts and driftwood. But the real shift came in June. A family barbecue that felt less like obligation, more like home. Clementine flew in, Mia in tow, the villa ghosts banished by laughter and ribs. Lydia grilled me on her pottery. Show me those hands. And got a demo with clay from the garage. Dad pulled Clementine aside for a walk, returning with her arm looped through his, both teary. We talked, she said later, catching me by the fire pit. About Mom, about us. He gets it. Love's not a straight path. As stars pricked the sky, we gathered round the flames, stories flowing like the river nearby. Jake recounted the fishing trip with exaggerated flair. No kisses, just Clara's epic barf face. Earning groans. Mia shared Seattle tales, her voice weaving us in. Lydia raised a glass. To messes. And mending. Cheers echoed, genuine. Clementine sidled up, beer in hand. Proud of you, she said, clinking bottles. For not hating me. I bumped her shoulder. Hate's too easy. This us is better. Our eyes met, the old spark there but banked now, warm coals not wildfire. She nodded, glancing at Mia across the yard. Yeah, it is. Yet drama, that old friend wasn't done. 2 weeks later, a call from Lydia shattered the idyll. Clem's leaving Mia. My stomach dropped. I booked a flight west, landing in a rain-lashed Seattle that mirrored the turmoil. Clementine met me at the airport, gaunt-cheeked, duffel slung over her shoulder. It's over, she said in the cab, voice flat. I tried. God, I tried. But it's not her, it's me. Still chasing that wave. We holed up in her apartment, now half-packed boxes and echoes. Over takeout, faux ironic given our Spanish scars, she unpacked the unravel. Doubts creeping after Chicago, nights dreaming of blue seas and hazel eyes, Mia sensing the drift. I broke her heart, Clem whispered. Told her about you. The kiss. All of it. Mia's response? Grace, a hug, a go find your truth. American resilience, raw and real. And now? I asked the question, a refrain. She looked at me truly for the first time in years. Now I want to try. With you. If you'll have me. The hook sank deep, but this time no storm to rip it free. I leaned in, our foreheads touching. Slow, I said. No rushing the tide. Summer unfolded tentative. Long calls bridging coasts, her crashing my Ohio porch for weekends of farmers markets and midnight drives. Family weighed in, Dad's quiet nod, Jake's finally. Lydia's cautious emails forwarding healthy relationship articles. Elena, a gentle fade, her last text. Rooting for your story. But conflict brewed, inevitable as thunderheads. Fall brought Clementine's job transfer. Back to Chicago, close but not close enough. Proximity bred friction. My independence clashing with her need to cling. Old fears whispering mistake in quiet moments. One night, post-argument over canceled plans, she hurled the grenade. Maybe Mom was right. Maybe we're just broken. I walked out, drove aimless through cornfields, tears blurring taillights. Betrayal anew. Not of family, but of the fragile us we'd built. Days of silence stretched. Then her at my door, rain-soaked eyes pleading. I panicked. Again. We talked till dawn, peeling layers. Her internalized shame, my guarded heart, the Patterson legacy of love as battlefield. We're not them, I said. We get to rewrite. She nodded, hand in mine. Together. Climax crested in December. A surprise trip she planned. Fisterra, the villa, Paco's skiff. Just us, no family freight. The sea was calm, mirror flat under winter sun. We baited hooks, cast lines, the silence sacred. A bite tugged. Clem reeled, triumphant, the fish a metaphor we didn't need. As gulls wheeled, she turned to me. That day. It wasn't a mistake. It was the start. Her kiss was steady, no waves to blame. I kissed back, hands framing her face, the horizon endless. Back stateside, the dynamic solidified, not perfect but human. Lydia hosted Christmas, Mia invited as friend. No awkwardness. Jake officiated a commitment picnic for us in spring, Marco grilling, Dad toasting with tears. To blood and chosen, he said. Clementine and I? We're the messy middle, arguments over chores, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, fade to soft, no details. Building a life from driftwood dreams. The fishing trip? It's our origin story now, told with laughs at family dinners. And it changed everything, Clem always adds, squeezing my hand. Yeah, it did. 2 years post-Spain, and the Pattersons had evolved into something resembling a tribe, scarred, sure, but bonded in the American way. Through holidays that teetered on chaos, group texts laced with memes, and an unspoken pact to show up, flaws and all. Clementine and I had settled into a rhythm in Chicago, her marketing hustle funding our shoebox apartment overlooking the L tracks, my freelance graphic design affording weekend getaways to spots that echoed Galicia without the ghosts, Door County bluffs, Lake Superior's moody shores. We weren't married, not yet. Rings felt too final for women who'd learned love's fluidity the hard way. But mornings started with her coffee breath on my neck. Evenings with her head in my lap during Netflix binges. Solid. Real. Family woven seamless now. Dad visited monthly, his fly rod in tow, teaching us casts on the lakefront. For luck, he'd wink. Jake and Marco adopted a rescue pup. A scruffy mutt named Finn who became our unofficial mascot, slobbering at barbecues. Lydia? She'd bloomed late, volunteering at a local LGBTQ center. Her phase lectures swapped for ally brunches. Your mom would love this, she'd say, clinking glasses, and we'd believe her. But Peace, that slippery bastard, had a knack for ambush. It hit in April. A phone call from Aunt Lydia that shattered the idol like cheap crystal. Clara? It's Clem. She's gone. Packed a bag last night. Left a note. Said she's sorry, needs space to think. My world tilted, phone slipping from numb fingers. Gone. After 2 years of building, of therapy double dates and promise ring swaps? I raced to the apartment, heart hammering, finding the place gutted. Her clothes vanished from the closet, vanilla candles snuffed, a single seashell necklace on the kitchen counter. The one I'd bought in Muscia. The note scrawled on a torn envelope. Clara, I love you but I'm drowning. The straight girl in me won't shut up. Mom's right, it's a phase. Don't hate me. Find someone who fits. See. Betrayal round 3 sharper than the first. I crumpled it, howled into the void. The L rumbling indifferent outside. Calls went to voicemail. Texts echoed unanswered. Dad drove up that night, found me curled on the couch, Elena's number half dialed for solace. Breathe, kiddo, he said, brewing tea strong as his hug. She'll come round. Or she won't. But you? You're enough. Jake arrived at dawn, Marco in tow with donuts and dog for distraction. Fuck her, Jake growled, but his eyes said worry. We pieced it. Whispers from Lydia. Clem's late nights at work. Doubts creeping after a high school reunion where old flames, male straight-laced, stirred nostalgia. Mia in Seattle texted me. She's spiraling. Blames the family curse, mom's divorces, your mom's flight. Told her it's bullshit, but American drama distilled. The pull of expectation versus the push of truth. I gave her space, a week turning to 2, filling voids with runs along the lake, sketches of stormy seas, brunches with Elena. Rekindled as friends, her curls a safe harbor. But the ache gnawed, memories ambushing. Her laugh in the boat, fingers laced on the beach, the way she'd murmur mine in sleep. Betrayal wasn't just leaving. It was erasing us, chalking 2 years to phase. Climax brewed in May. A storm chase drive to Ohio for Jake's birthday bash. I planned to skip, but Dad insisted. Families where you show strength. The party was peak Patterson. Backyard tents against drizzle, Marco's ribs smoking. Lydia's playlist heavy on Springsteen. Laughter flowed, Finn chasing fireflies, but my edges frayed. Halfway through cake, headlights pierced the dusk. A rental car, Clementine stepping out. Rain-plastered hair, eyes hollow saucers. Silence fell like a dropped mic. She stood there, duffel at feet, scanning faces. Lydia's stiff jaw, Jake's crossed arms, Dad's steady gaze, mine a fortress. I showed up, she said, voice reed thin. For the birthday. And to explain. Jake broke first, pulling her into a bear hug. Idiot. Get in here. The rest followed, tentative, the prodigal's welcome laced with wariness. Later, by the fire pit, embers glowing like accusations, we talked. Just us, the family orbiting distant. I ran to Seattle, she confessed, knees hugged tight. Crashed with Mia, platonic, she swore off my drama. Worked a temp gig at a coffee roaster. Walked beaches till my feet bled. Her laugh was ghost of itself. Thought distance would clarify. Straight. Gay. Clem. Tears tracked clean paths through smudged mascara. But it's you, Clara. Always was. The kiss wasn't the start. It was the mirror. Showing me the lie I'd lived. I listened, hook lodged but not twisting. And the note? The phase. She winced. Panic. Mom called, subtle digs about settling down proper. Brad circling back like a vulture. I folded. Again. Lydia hovered then, drawn by voices, face crumpling. My fault, she whispered, sinking beside us. I poisoned you with my fears. Your Aunt Clara's mom, she was brave. Loved wide, loved free. I envied that, twisted it into shame. Mother-daughter sobs mingled. A catharsis years overdue. Dad joined, hand on Lydia's shoulder. We're all twisted, sis. But untangling? That's the grace. Resolution dawned slow, humanistic. No fireworks, just the quiet work of repair. Clementine stayed the weekend, bunking with Jake, our talks and stolen moments. Apologies layered thick, boundaries redrawn. Slow, I echoed our Seattle pact. No drowning. She nodded, eyes clear. Back in Chicago she returned, tentative, her key on the hook, vanilla candles relit. Therapy became our ritual, couples sessions unpacking the Patterson pathologies. Grief as gasoline, love as lit match. Summer healed in increments. We fished Lake Michigan, no skiffs, just waders and worms, her casting improving till she outdid me. Ha! Straight shot. She'd quip and we'd laugh, the old wound scarring over. Family adapted. Lydia's center hosted our coming out again story for a panel, her pride palpable. Jake and Marco eloped in a backyard vow, Finn as ring bearer. We stood witness, tears salting the cake. Fall brought the big ask, from Clementine, over cider at a harvest fest, hay bales and fairy lights. Marry me? Not for labels but for us, the mess, the magic. Her ring. Silver band etched with waves, simple as our start. I said yes, kissing her under pumpkin moon, the crowd whooping. Patterson clan en masse, from Ohio roots to Chicago branches. Winter wedding was intimate. Fisterra Villa rented for a week. Paco officiating in broken English, sea-crashing benediction. Jake best man toasted to hooks and releases. Lydia matron of honor, voice steady. To brave hearts. Mia came hugging fierce. You too? Epic. Dad walked me down the aisle. Beach path strewn with shells, his arm steady. Your mom's here, he murmured. In the waves. Vows exchanged barefoot, salt on lips. I choose you, storms and calm. Rings slid on, sealing not just us, but the family's arc from fracture to whole. The reception? Paella and Rioja dancing till dawn, stories swapped like heirlooms. Now 3 years wed, we're the anchors. Chicago suits, but summers pull us west, Spain not for drama but roots. Dad's retired bliss includes grandkid hints, adoption papers pending. Lydia's engaged to her professor, planning a joint ceremony. Jake's startup thrives, Marco's shop expands. Us? Designing a life. Graphic gigs for ocean nonprofits, weekends with Finn's cousins. Nights where she whispers mine unprompted. The fishing trip? Legend now, retold at every gathering. And it changed our family dynamics. Clementine always caps, hand in mine. From betrayal's bite to love's enduring tug. Human, messy, profoundly ours. American as the wide open sea. Epilogue whisper. Last trip to Fisterra, boat rocking gentle, her head on my shoulder. What if no wave, she muses. I smile. We'd have found our way. Hooks or not. She kisses me salt sweet. Yeah, we would.